I don't like the whole like, welcome to the show. I think we just go fire a piece of news, big event happen here. Elias, what do you think?
I have a lot of $2 bills here, and Andrew Tate just got banned off all platforms. What do you have to say about that one, Jude? What do you have to say about that one?
Well, that was pretty creative. I have no idea what the $2 bills had to do with anything with your intro, but I loved it anyways. Well, hey, so let's talk about Andrew Tate here, his situation with Meta and Instagram, Facebook, those two under that umbrella of Meta, and then also YouTube, TikTok as well. Now hopping on the train of taking Andrew Tate off all of these social media platforms. Though, Elias, we know that he's not completely gone off these platforms, and he's been banned under the influence of these woman advocate groups that have been claiming exactly what, Elias.
Well, they've been claiming that his hateful and misogynistic speech is detrimental to society and detrimental to young minds. I think what they're saying does have a little bit of merit, but at the end of the day, this is the internet. I don't know if any of you have ever been on the internet, but there's a
Never.
lot of stuff way worse than the things never been on the internet. Never. Yeah, but there's a lot of things on there 100 times worse than the stuff Andrew Tate is spewing. Um, by people a lot worse than Andrew Tate. So at the end of the day, it was just the fact that his reach got so huge and he became so viral that made
Hmm.
these activist groups feel like these
Hmm.
platforms needed to take the action that they did.
Hmm.
Um, Drew, do you think that as we move on and evolve social media, I see more and more of these people getting banned? 5 years ago, there was a YouTuber called Leafy is here, banned for a similar reason off all platforms. Do you think that as time goes on, we're just going to start seeing this happen more and more and more and more and more and more to the point where we have 10 people banned every week? Or do you think this is kind of a one time thing?
Andrew Tate is special, and he may be a little bit infamous for the same reason for why he is special. He's a very outspoken person. He's going to say a lot of controversial things that get the people fired up, and that's exactly why he rose to fame. He started off as, I
Gets
believe, a
the people
kickboxer.
going.
Exactly. He started off a kickboxer, a boxer. He then was in some television shows, and then he transitioned into the social media space, where, like we've already mentioned a little bit, he had to say these very extreme views to continue to get that fan base, which is why he became so famous. Which I think now is a good time to go into his Andrew Tate scheme, as I like to put it, the pyramid scheme. Elias, how did he utilize the pyramid scheme to gain his fame, his following, and then ultimately to make some money?
System of courses called the Hustlers Academy, right? And he charged a monthly fee for people to be part of this Hustlers Academy. It had cliche courses like e-commerce and whatnot. Honestly, he probably just outsourced the courses, but
Absolutely. Yeah.
at the end of the day, he really did have a genius marketing strategy. What he did was he had the people who bought the courses basically just spam social media with shorts and told them, you know, get X amount of people to join my course and you'll get paid this amount of money. So it is a pyramid scheme, as you can see, right? He starts at the top, gets two people to buy his course. Those two people each get two people, and it keeps going on. At the end of the
Yeah.
day, it's a pyramid scheme, but it was put into play over social media in a way where it's hard to take legal action on it. So
Yeah.
pretty smart, but still a pyramid scheme.
Well, people call it a pyramid scheme, but people also might call it affiliate marketing. So there's a kind of a two sides to that
Yeah,
coin. Which side you want to look at it? Hey, am
there's
I
a fine
selling this?
line.
Yeah,
Yeah.
am I selling this business to, make my business, which in turn is actually Andrew Tate's business. But in that person's belief and eyes is that, hey, I'm selling a business. I'm selling my business because they just gotta sell their portion of it. I think that's a pretty good way to set that specific subject off to the side. Though I do want to mention what's next for Andrew Tate. He was such a big face, such a big name to now just be instantly taken off these platforms. There's going to be a void left, and a void that Andrew Tate's also been talking about himself, saying that he's filled a space to provide motivational speeches, entertainment for these young individuals, primarily men, to then go act on. Elias, is there a void in his is his argument valid in the sense that he will be missed and that he is gonna people are gonna miss him?
Yeah, so there's definitely a void. I think people are gonna miss him for 2 to 3 months until someone fills that void, right? Because in my opinion, he opened up the floodgates. I mean, he really showed the potential of how massive you can get and how much money you can make on the internet from pissing off people.
Yeah.
And this is not a new idea. You know, people have been pissing off people on the internet for since the beginning of the internet to make money off of it. But the way he did it with such a massive reach and such a
Yeah.
just widespread, I mean, he was everywhere. You couldn't open up social media without scrolling through 10 different Andrew Tate posts. And I think people are going to latch onto that now that he's gone, and we will see another self-proclaimed top G spewing hateful messages and motivational messages at the same time to grow a massive following within the next three to 5 months. And then the void will be filled. And I think eventually, hot take right here. I think eventually the space is gonna get so competitive and so filled with so many different self-proclaimed top Gs that it becomes way overcrowded. I think it's
The top G market's gonna be oversaturated, is what you're saying.
oversaturated top Gs, baby. There's gonna be too
There'll be
many
too
top
many,
Gs.
yeah,
There
exactly.
can
Too
only
many
be
top
one.
G's around.
Can't be
Right.
20 top Gs.
Exactly. Then you're not the top G.
You're not the top G anymore.
All right. So I think we touched on that pretty well. Do you have any last remarks or anything that you would like to comment on with Andrew Tate before we move on?
I do actually have something to comment on. I just thought this was a funny fact that a lot of people are unaware of. People think, how did Andrew Tate make his initial millions of dollars? Obviously, he's making a ton of money from his Hustlers Academy and from YouTube payouts and whatnot. But the reason he was able to get so big on those platforms was because he was already rich and already wealthy. And so he was able to have an impact on these young viewers' minds. And doing some research on myself, it personally, I don't disrespect his method for initially getting rich, but I'll explain a little bit. So man,
Oh gosh.
this man was running a cam girl scam circle with his brother, and where they would have very attractive women, stay at his place, and they would essentially convince simps online that they were in relationships with them, and say some stop stories like, oh, my grandma's dying, I can't pay for the hospital bill, and essentially have those men send them money, and then everyone would get their share, including Andrew Tate, his brother, and the cam
Hmm.
girl. Like I said, get your bag as long as you're not hurting people,
Hmm.
obviously he is hurting some people with the scam. But I do have a question for you about just his future in life, because there is an open court case with him where the Romanian police actually launched a human sex trafficking investigation against him and did raid his house, where after getting alerted from the US embassy that he may be holding an American girl hostage, and forcing her to do this cam girl scamming, they did raid his house and find this woman along with another woman. Now, am I saying he's guilty? No, because there's always two sides of the story. Yes, there's a little bit of evidence that this was against her will, but there's also a lot of evidence and footage on security cameras in the area that make it seem like
Innocent
she was
until
just there to
proven
get
guilty.
paid.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so, while I don't think we should immediately say that he's a sex trafficker and, that his online persona might not just be a persona, maybe he is this guy in real life. I think it's going to be super interesting to see where this court case goes in the next couple of years. And Jude, do you think that if he does end up getting wound up more tightly in this court case and does end up going to court for this and maybe getting some jail time, do you think that his career is officially over when that happens, or do you think that will help maybe even boost his career a little bit?
To be clear, I don't know a whole lot about his court case scene, but I do have a pretty good eye on what I believe will be his future on this. I don't know a ton about his court case, but what I will tell you about his career is that it's peaked. It's he has lost the grip on the social media platform, and his pyramid scheme was really again the reason why he got so famous because everywhere you went on social media, the more
He made
you
so much
saw him.
money, man.
And yeah, his course he had supposed to be 100,000 followers or 110,000 members of that course at its peak, making roughly $36 per month. Multiply that a couple times, and you're making some serious money there. So with Andrew Tate as
A lot of goddamn money. That's a
right,
lot of money.
and I'm not sure if we may have skipped over this, but for the same reason he became so popular on the internet was because he was being spammed all across these platforms. It was basically botted, but they were botting not just any content. They were botting highly misogynistic views of women, of other aspects of or controversial aspects of Andrew Tate's views that were being spewed all over across the place. And so to mix in this court case that may be brewing on his end and the constant outflow of really a flood of this just really aggressive content and where that has led his perception from the masses is ultimately led to his downfall. So it's really interesting. The very thing that led to success is going to be the reason why he never sees it again, unfortunately.
Interesting that, you know, part of the reason he got so famous and so viral, so unbelievably viral, like something we've never seen before, was a big part of the reason why his virality came to an end through these bans. Just
Right.
because, like I said before, there are a ton of other people spewing these things 100 times more hateful on the internet, but they're not going so viral that you can't escape them. And so it gets
Yeah,
to
and
a
I think that's
point
actually a
where
really good point. I think on the internet and like YouTube, Instagram, and all these, you can see some really horrific things on there. Horrific. It
you
just
can, dude.
really quite unbelievable of the fact that these are still on there and people are like hundreds of thousands of people maybe even liking these. So what does that really say about the social media industry as a whole that, hey, we have these videos of these horrific things being displayed for anyone to see, anyone. I mean, anyone that hops on Instagram for the first time or YouTube, whatever, a young kid, an older person can see these kind of things. Yet Andrew Tate and his extreme views are going to be is going to be what gets taken off first. What does that tell you about Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok?
Look, it just goes to show that at the end of the day, they do know that there is content out there that is harmful and hateful. But that's a lot of work to get rid of all that. They just want to, keep the investors happy, and that's what they're doing by banning Andrew Tate. Speaking of keeping the investors happy, I think that's a great segue to our next topic. So we are going to be talking about the massive pump and dump by BBBY stock, Bed Bath and Beyond, as you all lovely folks know it. Jude, do you want to just start us off there? Maybe, spit a couple facts about the story of what went on.
Yeah. So we got two key players in this move. We got Ryan Cohen, a professional capital manager who also not officially, but it was pretty clear, had teamed up with a USC student, 20-year-old Jake Freeman, got a quick little donation, a quick lunch gift from his parents, and I got a $25 million investment from them to then go implement and invest wherever he would like. What did he choose? Well, you guessed it, BBBY.
Bed Bath and
Him,
Beyond.
Ryan, Jake, yeah, $25 million into BBBY on top of Ryan Cohen's supposed 11.6% stake. And so 6.2, I believe, if you could help me out with that, was Jake
6.2,
Freeman's
that's
stake
correct. Yeah,
with $25 million.
purchase with him. He used his uncle's hedge fund to purchase this stake. So although it was Jake's money given to him by his parents and uncle.
Right.
He used his uncle's fund called Freeman Capital LLC to
Right.
put in this investment and buy up 6.2% of the stock.
Right. So together, they had nearly close to 20% of the stake of this publicly traded company, which, when you think about it, this is no joke,
That's
guys.
insane.
And what this soon caused was the retail community noticing, wait, well, why are there professional money managers buying a stock like BBBY? Well, hey, they must know what they're doing, right? Wrong. They know what you're
Must
thinking,
know.
and what are they doing? They're looking to make money off your money, looking to make money off you, which is really unfortunate because the retail community really gets played and ripped and rolled around in because these professional money managers know how to exploit them, which is exactly what they did. The stock roared from roughly around the $5 range to a recent high of $27, which is when both these two players had sold all of what they had originally called a long-term investment. They sold all of their stake in just 2 days after
Every
profiting
penny.
millions of dollars. So, Elias, now we know the story a little bit more about how these two players played a role in pumping the stock. Is it fair, and is this what the retail community signed up for when they see these GME, AMC, and now BBBY pumps and dumps?
Yeah, I think they really shot themselves in the foot, right? This massive community we see on Reddit called Wall Street Bets was formed with the idea that if, you know, apes together strong. And they figured out
Ape
if they're
Nation.
together, they can all ape into a apes together
Yeah.
strong, baby. Shout out Planet of the Apes. But if they all ape into specific companies at specific times, they will be able to pump the stock and manipulate
Right.
the stock price the way that these big Wall Street hedge funds are. And so it was kind of
Hmm.
like a middle finger to the hedge funds saying, look, you can do it. We're going to do it too, but on a massive scale in a way you've never seen before. And this is the power of the internet. This was bound to happen, in my opinion. Now, the reason I say they shot themselves in the foot, this is why, right? We all know the saying, third time's the charm. GameStop went up, went down. G AMC went up,
AMC.
went down, and then BBBY, when it starts going up, these hedge fund like Ryan Cohen, these managers are like, hmm, I've seen this before, and
Oh,
I
they
can
know.
make a shitload of money. And it gets to the point where they it's still just the top dogs making the most money, and the retail investors are screwed over again because at the end of the day,
Hmm.
while some people are like Jake Freeman gonna make a ton of money from these pumps, a lot more people are going to be regular amateur investors that
Hmm.
just want to start dabbling in the market and they're going to get burned in a play that's a pump and dump and they're going to get discouraged and might not want to invest anymore. And that's really, really just sad for the markets and not good for the future of investing as a whole and the retail
Yeah.
market. So, Jude, how do you think that the retail markets and Wall Street Bets specifically is going to combat more and more of these huge hedge funds and their managers hopping into these pump and dumps to make massive profits?
It's a weird story because now we have two sides, one or two scenarios and two stories. We have a story where number one is where they combined and they joined forces like they saw in BBBY. What we saw in GME and AMC, which is what was different in those two stories was that there was a short squeeze. What that means here really quickly is that they were these professional money managers primarily short selling the stock. What that means is they were selling the stock that they had not owned, meaning that they would have to eventually buy it back at hopefully a lower price for themselves. But the story that then developed was, hey, we know these people are buying it to short it or selling it to short it. Why don't we push the stock price up? So now you have to buy it higher. And when they buy it higher, guess what's going to happen? Stock goes up even more. So that's the two. these two stories are now a little bit different. And I think what's going to start to develop more is how can the retail trader hop on the whales of the stock market's backs? How can they make money off their money? And it's going to be a tug of war constantly because no one wants to have the feeling of, oh my gosh, they made money off me. No one likes that, right? You getting the short end of the stick, that's a terrible feeling. But if they think, hey, well, as long as I'm not getting the short end of the stick, if I sell this dream to the next guy, then he will buy and I can sell on his purchase. And so he's going to develop into this. But I think the retail community will get smarter and smarter because this has happened over and over again. And ultimately, it's not going to be sustainable, and people will be able to start seeing through these these cycles of pumps and dumps. So, Elias, with this, we know Jake Freeman turned $25 million into $100 million supposedly. He had sold on the idea of, well, one, well, let me explain this real quick too. He had sent a letter to BBBY uh, board of directors stating all these claims that, hey, we need to fix this, and that, which is already the obvious. Just to then, around 20 days later, sell all the stake. What does this really say to the retail community of being disabandoned by the very people that had led them into this rally? Do you hear
Yeah,
that?
I think it's a yeah, I could. Man, Wi-Fi is being tough over here. Literally halfway through your speech, my Zoom crashed and I thought I had left the meeting and then it just randomly reloaded. I don't know. It's this is being bizarre over here, but I'm following along. I think it's just a classic pump fake for these retail investors. I mean,
Hmm.
I don't know if you've been on the Wall Street bets forum, but you go on there and all you see is hold, 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 hold. Everyone hold,
Yeah.
hold, hodl, 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 HODL. And this man was like, "Oh, I'm hodling all right. I'm hodling so much that I'm sending a damn letter to the board of directors telling them, direct quote, they are facing an existential crisis." All right. That is the most long you can even seem on a stock bet. And so then when he was able to gain a lot of confidence from these other retail investors thinking, "Oh, okay, this guy is in it for the long haul so much that he was willing to put himself out there and send a letter to the board of directors as a 20-year-old." And
Hmm.
so that's a
Yeah, it's
lot of
ridiculous.
like, yeah, that's a lot of proof of concept for these
Yeah, I'd be
retail
pretty pissed off.
investors.
I'd be pissed off first off
Yeah.
from being BBBY. And also, I think this is kind of opening my mind up to the idea of, well, with crypto, we've seen how since it is not as regulated and as the stock markets and other financial markets, it's easier for these individuals to use their social media platforms to then rally up the troops, as some may say.
Yeah.
But we're
Happens all the
seeing this
time with these small
in
cap cryptos.
right. And that's very crypto like characteristic. It's specific to their world because it's
Mm-hmm.
unregulated.
Pretty common.
But now we're seeing the same sort of characteristics in the stock market. Is this
Scary,
something
man.
that is going to be cracked down upon because of these powerful individuals using their platform, their finances, their power to ultimately manipulate the markets?
I mean, it has to. We've already seen Elon Musk get hit with the multiple lawsuits with the claims that he's manipulating stocks through his Twitter account. At the end of the day, a crackdown is going to have to happen eventually. Is it going to be effective? I don't know. What type of crackdown will it be? I don't know. That's so far above me. But what I do know is that it is bound to happen. It has to happen, or just people will stop losing their trust in the stock market. And what
Hmm.
drives the stock market is trust in the system. If no one trusts the system, then the system will break. Um, so, Jude, I have a quick question about Jake Freeman's next purchase. So, after he sold all of his BBY and collected that fatty check of straight profits, he immediately aped into this psychedelic pharmaceuticals company called Mind Medicine that his uncle co-founded at a want to say a 5.4% stake, let me 5.6% stake. Um, and immediately, in true Jake Freeman fashion, sent a letter to the board of directors demanding they change their business strategy. So, Jude, do you think this is just another attempt of Jake Freeman to pump fake the masses and get that pump just so he can dump all his stock, or do you think he's actually in this next one for the long haul?
He's definitely not getting the pump, not in just the stock market, but also the gym. This guy, if you've seen a picture of him, he's a beauty to say the least. And his hair is a pure example of that. But I'm not here to pick on the guy. What I will say about your question is no, they will not follow him. This guy just dumped all of his profits on these other people's heads, which are now going to be bags of losses that they have to carry. So no, who the hell would ever want to follow a guy who had just
It's
disbanded the
true.
very promise that he delivered? No, you would have to be insane to follow that guy. And to look into the company, all you have to think about is magic mushrooms. There will be no magic in the stock. There will be no more magic from Jake Freeman. And if there's anything to come out of this, is that Jake Freeman is going to have to go through some legality issues because he's continuously demonstrating his ability to manipulate stocks, which is just not sustainable and will not go under the eyes of the SEC very easily.
Hmm. Yeah, I would like to mention that MindMed did jump substantially in price after news came out that he invested a ton into this MindMed company.
Well, let me ask you
So
this.
like he said, it's
Oh, sorry, go on. Go on.
I was just saying it's very clear that he did manipulate the price a little bit.
Mhm.
Whether it was on purpose or on accident, who knows, but it's there and something needs to be
Accident.
done
I
about
just
it.
accidentally bought a couple $1 million of the
Accident,
stock. Just accident.
accidentally, yeah.
But all right, well, I think we kind of touched on it. Is there anything that you would want to let the viewers know about the situation or what's coming up next or anything on your mind?
Just wanted to let the viewers know that Joe Biden dropped a bomb
Mm,
earlier, and we're
mm.
going to be covering it in our next episode. Joe Biden tuition plan to help college students out with their tuition loans. We're going to be covering that later, whether or not it is overall positive or negative to, in our opinion, the
All
future
right.
of the US economy.
It's still not completely passed, is what I believe. And there is a
No way.
lot of fireback against the bill and for its inflationary factors, how it supports just the already established American class. I guess that'd be the higher upper end middle class. And so we'll be talking more about that and how it's going to ultimately play out for people who either haven't attended college or are now looking to attend college and feel like they've been priced out.
Don't miss us talking about that. Don't miss it.
Next episode, I'll ask any final thoughts here.
Stay cool, stay busy, stay making money.
I like that. Well, very well said, Elias. Thank you everyone for listening on today's video. We look forward to having you on more. And if you have anything that you would like to share or recommend to us, just drop a like or a comment in the section below, and we'll be happy to read them. Thank you all. See you next time.